So I did quit my job about 3 weeks ago. I actually handed in my notice to to finish up on October 31st, finish up at the end of this month. But they said so about they got back to me about 1 day later and said, okay, we will honor this and just like we will honor this request and just like pay you up to the end of the month, but we would feel better about if you just leave now. So essentially, just like I had 1 day to leave, sort of like finish up my work. It's something that happens in tech companies sometimes where they don't want you to hang around. I'm not sure what the exact reason is, but I think it has something to do with the fact that they don't want it to affect morale by having somebody around, just like drag their time out and just like sort of be around people where they're sort of like, they're going to be asking them where they're going. It could come out why they're leaving, and if they're disgruntled, they might sort of like feel threatened by that. And the other thing is that I think it's just like, no, actually, I can't really think of another reason. I mean, that's the only real reason I can think of. But yeah, it's something that happens in tech companies a lot. I've heard of this from like all kinds of people that have like handed in their notice as well from different tech companies, not just the ones that I've worked at. So I'm about a couple of days away from my last paycheck. I've had fortunate time where it's been fortunate where I can kind of catch my breath, having some time off, having some downtime, because I have been sort of like this summer I have been diagnosed with depression, and I've had to get on medication for that. So it's sort of like I've been trying to figure things out just like in the health situation for the on and off for the past year, and been working with a doctor, multiple therapists, but trying to sort of like figure out, is there something wrong with me, or is there just like something wrong with the industry? If you're wondering just like, is there something wrong with me, or is there something wrong with the industry? Although the diplomatic response is I can't tell you for your situation, I'm just going to go out on a limb here and just say yes. There is something wrong with the industry, not necessarily you. Don't fall into that trap, but it doesn't really matter. Like you are, there's all kinds of doubt when we're surrounded by other people, just like when we see them thriving, you're always going to think that it's you anyway. So hopefully that's something I can reinforce as I go through a few more of these videos. I can go through some examples about just like, what I've experienced over the years, as well as about, I want to be talking about the past a little bit just as much as I am about the future. So it's not just like what I'm building and what I'm doing, how I'm just like aiming to sort of like to fix things, but also about just like what I've experienced. So you can sort of like see that it's not just you, it's the industry, it's messed up, and yeah, and maybe feel better about that if in your own way if you want. So I'm looking forward to what else should I mention? Oh yeah, I'm wearing this WeWork shirt. You might have seen this. I'm not necessarily a big fan of WeWork, but I am a big fan of free shirts. And my last company I was working for last year, we were just like in one of the WeWorks, and they gave us like I was getting a free shirt maybe once a month. So most of my stuff right now is just like WeWork stuff. And it's pretty funny actually, because especially lately with the whole WeWork IPO debacle, and which I'll definitely get into in a future video, because I'm more interested in just the tech industry, just technology, or the cultural aspect of it, but also just like the business side of it as well. And I think, unfortunately, I think there's a lot of ramifications for employees. They're going to just like get left with the short end of the stick. And yeah, I could definitely sort of like go into that a little bit about the unfortunate side effect, what could have been avoided there, from employees' end, like to not leave themselves so vulnerable, as well as just like, well, I mean, I could just like go on about just like what could have been avoided from the top end or like the management level, but I think that's been analyzed enough. So yeah, I mainly want to speak to people that are fellow employees of tech companies, people that are going through the same kind of BS. There's a lot of it. You're not an outlier, and hopefully I can sort of like make you realize that and calm you down along the way, because I'm pretty fired up. Let all your sort of like emotion and fired upness come over to me. Okay, see ya.